Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Thank you for being here on our YouTube channel. It is a pleasure to be with you. You know, today we get to profile another star finalist, this time for National Star Farmer or American Star Farmer. We'll be speaking with Todd Peterson, who will be speaking to us from The Ohio State University. And he's going to be talking to us all about how he developed from a failed wheat crop into a corn, soybean, and wheat farmer in Ohio. Really interesting perspective on turning a crop failure into an ultimate success. We'll have that for you right now. Joining me today is Todd Peterson, and he is coming to us from The Ohio State University, where he is majoring in agribusiness as well as agronomy. And he is the former chapter land lab manager at Miami Trace High School in Washington Courthouse, Ohio, as well as being a National Star finalist. Todd, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me on.
You bet. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Glad things are going well at Ohio State. What year are you at Ohio State right now?
So I'm just starting my second year, and I've got 2 more years left.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, hey, congratulations on being a nominee for the National Star this year.
Thank you.
You bet. Now, what category are you a nominee in?
Star Farmer, so my SAE is Plant Sciences.
Very cool. Well, we'll get into that here in just a moment. What I'd like to do is just kind of start off the interview by introducing you to everybody and asking you just a few questions about you. Is that okay?
That sounds great.
All right. So how old are you now?
I am currently 20.
All right. And by the time this airs, you will have turned 21. So I'm going to tell you a preemptive happy birthday right now.
Thank you.
You bet. You bet. Now, when you're at home in Washington Courthouse, Ohio, are you on a farm, are you in town, or something kind of in between?
Nope, I live out on the farm. We surrounded by corn and soybean fields all around.
Okay. And is that what your family farm is as well, corn and soybeans?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we're corn, soybeans, and every now and then a little bit of wheat.
Okay, just as a rotation probably, huh?
Yep.
Gotcha. Now, how long has that farm been in your family?
Grandpa bought the current location we're at in 1958, and but before that we'd farmed in one county over.
Okay.
So,
very good.
Been farming for a long time in America. My family I'm the 10th generation to farm in America.
Wow.
Not always at the same location.
Yeah.
Just there's 58 at this current location.
Wow, that's fascinating. So 10th generation. So when did your family come to North America?
I could not give you a specific date.
Okay. All right. Well, that's quite a legacy you've got there, though, Todd. That's really interesting. Now, how long have you been part of the FFA? When did you join?
I joined FFA as a freshman in high school.
Okay. Very good. And what brought you into the organization?
Well, I guess it's kind of a family tradition. My dad was in FFA when he was in high school, and both my older sisters were in FFA in high school. My uncle was also in FFA in high school, so
yeah,
just kind of followed the family tradition. When I was in high school, I signed up for freshman year. I signed up for the freshman FFA class, and just got involved from there.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had anything to talk about at Thanksgiving if you weren't an FFA member.
No, I would not have.
Very good. Well, so you signed up as a freshman, and along the way you became a chapter officer, then the chapter land lab manager. So tell me about that really quick. This is a title I've never heard before, but I think it's probably unique to your school. And you said off the year you have at your high school there's a very large high school farm.
Yeah. So I can't remember how large it is now. It's changed recently. But when I was there, we had a pretty significant chunk of land. There was a farmer in the area who retired and donated endowed a 20-something acre field for the chapter to farm. And it was a fair bit of ways from the high school a couple miles away, but we food farm it and then use the profits from the crops to help fund chapter activities.
Very cool.
So as land lab manager, I was responsible for helping oversee the operations of that. And then also, I think it was my junior year, the high school, the school district, purchased a farm right next to the current high school. It was intentions of building a new school there eventually. So in the meantime, before they had funding to build the school, but they had the property, they let the FFA chapter farm that. So we had two farms right close to the high school that we were able to farm.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's great. You got that hands-on experience in high school. It's ironic too, though, because it sounds like you were getting that hands-on experience at home as well.
Yep. Got the experience in school and out of school.
All right. Well, I know there had to be some great FFA advisors that have supported you and helped you along the way. Would you mind acknowledging those folks for us?
Yeah. So I have 3 advisors at my chapter: Mr. Bruce Bennett, Mrs. Amanda Swaggart, and Miss Wendy Miser Stockler.
Awesome. Thank you very much for doing that. And Todd, I'm going to take a quick moment to acknowledge one of our sponsors and everybody. That is Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. Of course, developed out here in the West with some of these cattle that barely ever see humans. They have developed very strong, reliable, and easy-to-use livestock handling equipment to minimize stress, minimize the chance for injury to your livestock, as well as your handlers when you do need to get up close and personal with those big animals. We hope you'll go over to powderriver.com, check out what they've got to offer, and let your local farm and ranch retailer know that you'd like them to carry their equipment so you have the option to purchase it there locally. And don't forget to reach out and let Powder River know that Matt Breckwald at the Off-Farm Income Podcast sent you to them. All right, Todd, thanks for letting me get away with that really quick.
No problem.
Well, let's talk about your supervised agricultural experience. So I want to hear all about what you've been doing that's led you to be a nominee for Star Farmer, National Star Farmer, by the way.
Yeah. So my SAE, like most FFA members, SAE began when I was a freshman in high school. Sitting there in the green hand class, learning about just the basics of FFA. The teacher told me and the rest of the class, hey, every FFA member is expected to have a SAE. It's a project to get you more involved in FFA, more involved in agriculture. Help you learn kind of hands-on what agriculture is.
Sure.
So I immediately start brainstorming there. What can I do? And I'm sitting there in class thinking, and then the day goes on. I keep thinking, and eventually I come home, start talking to Dad about, hey, what can I do? And he tells me, I can make you a part owner in the wheat and straw operation that we have on the farm. So that fall then, my SAE began when I was a part owner of my family's wheat and straw operation. So my uncle, my older sister, and I planted a wheat crop in the fall there because we do winter wheat in our area. And then we raised it through, cut the wheat, sold the wheat, for grain, and then baled the straw. So that was the beginning of my SAE project.
Okay.
And from there, it's grown rapidly to, I think it's 335 acres, just thereabouts right now, farming corn, soybeans, and wheat. And that's actually independently now, so it's just me.
And that is just you. Very interesting. So how did it grow so rapidly? What was the key to that rapid growth, I guess, Todd?
Well, the big key was a number of opportunities came up for large farms that came up for rent, and even some small ones. And I was just able to capitalize on them and, use profits from prior years, take out a loan with my dad, and just jump on the opportunities that were there and allow me to just grow very quickly, quicker than I ever imagined I would.
Very good. And how do you deal with the equipment issues?
So I work, in addition to the farming that I do on my own, I work for my family farm, Peterson Farm. Okay. And in exchange for the labor I do there, they let me use their equipment to farm my own ground.
Got it. So you're kind of
at very little cost.
Gotcha. So you're trading labor for equipment essentially.
Yes. Yep.
That's great. Well, that's a wonderful way to do it. So at the same time you're learning more about farming, you're also earning the equipment to manage and produce crops on your own farm.
Yeah, and because of this, I'm able to use equipment that I otherwise would never be able to afford. And obviously, it's good for my dad and my uncle because they get some free labor out of it. So
yeah, it's a classic win-win situation. But that's what we're looking for in these types of deals, right?
Yep.
Well, that is great. So, what do you think has been the steepest learning curve for you between the wheat, the corn, and the soybeans? Which is the most difficult crop to raise?
The most difficult crop to raise for me is probably winter wheat. It's a real tough crop in our area because of, you get a lot of rain in the last few years, especially. We've got a lot of rain in the fall. It's been hard to get the crop planted on time. And then over the winter, it needs a snow cover or something to protect it from the super cold temperatures.
Yeah.
And the last few years, we haven't had that cold or the snow or anything to protect it from the cold temperatures. So actually, the second year I raised wheat, my second as a sophomore in high school, I actually had a crop failure where due to late planting and cold winter without any snow protection, we actually had to terminate the wheat because in the spring the stand was so low, it was about half where we wanted it to be.
Oh, really? Wow.
So that was a tough decision my partners and I had to make. Was we put all this effort in, but it's based on what we know now and what the university data tells us, it's not going to be profitable. So it's a tough crop to raise in our area just because of the fact that it's a winter crop.
Absolutely. Wow. So, go ahead.
Well, thankfully, out of that crop failure, that was one of the first opportunities for me to grow on my own.
Okay.
So I was able to make good out of a bad situation. So there in the spring, when my partners and I decided to kill the wheat crop, I was able to come to an agreement to rent the ground from my uncle. So there was 40 acres of wheat that we had planted in the fall, and then it died over the winter. So then in the spring, I rented that 40 acres from my uncle and planted my first corn crop on that.
Very good. Well, I love this, making lemonade out of lemons, right? I mean, that's great that you were able to spin that into something positive.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's what I try to do with all the, struggles or problems that I face.
Sure.
Try to make the best out of them that I can.
Well, so now you find yourself as a finalist for National Star Farmer. I mean, it's a really amazing point you've already reached, let alone if you are named the National Star Farmer. What do you think you've done along those, the last 6-7 years that have led you to this point where you're receiving this recognition?
Well, I think I've just, like I said earlier, I took advantage of the opportunities that were available to me that allowed me to grow so fast. But then not only that, my advisors were there to help me and to kind of encourage me to, apply for these proficiencies and for the Star Farmer. And I think that's huge, just being able to go out there and put myself out there for the competition and to just try and learn and do better every year.
Absolutely. Well, I'd love to ask your advice for another student out there, and we'll focus in on your ability to turn a negative into a positive. But as other students come into the FFA and they're learning about agriculture and maybe they're even trying their hand at it, what advice do you have for them when they run into a situation where it seems like a failure on how they can turn that into a positive?
Well, I think the biggest thing is learn. Definitely learn. So figure out, what you did something and it didn't turn out well. Figure out what you did and then try and learn from that experience. And then also just because it's failure doesn't mean it's the end. You may have lost the battle, but you can still win the war. So you've got to just look around, try and find the opportunities. And just because it may seem bad now doesn't mean it is in the long term.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Well, Todd, you're majoring in agribusiness and in agronomy. What are you wanting to do with this degree when you finish up college?
So when I graduate high school, ideally I would love to come home and farm. I'd love to return back to the family farm, make it a full-time job, and make the farm bigger and better than it is today.
Oh, that would be awesome. Well, congratulations to you on the National Star Farmer nomination. I mean, what an incredible achievement. Really excited for you, and thank you so much for taking a little bit of time to share this with us today.
No problem. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad to share, and I hope this is extremely helpful for any future FFA members. Maybe give them a little inspiration.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Off-Farm Income Podcast YouTube channel today, everybody. My pleasure to be here. Love doing it. Hope you are enjoying it as well. And as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.